My name is Jonathan Ledgard, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Tehanu Interspecies Money, which is the first project in the world launched here in Rwanda, which is trying to allow anyone in the world who is not a human being to hold money and to spend money. So we are launching this incredible project right here in Rwanda. The easiest way to think about this is that everybody in Rwanda understands what happens in the village if you're in Kigali and you send some Momo money to the village. It can be even a very poor household. And if they have a simple mobile phone and they have Momo money comes on the phone, you know. Now imagine you're in the same village, but you are a bat, or you're an animal, or you're a tree, and you also have the ability to receive some Momo money and to spend it. That is what we are talking about. Obviously, this is a very futuristic idea, and it is an idea which will probably be beyond my lifetime, maybe beyond lifetime of even young people today. So it might be something that's evolving for a long time. But we had to start somewhere, so we decided to do an experiment with the mountain gorillas here in Rwanda. And we went up to the Volcanoes National Park, and we took one family of mountain gorillas, 20 animals, and we gave each of those animals a digital identity. And we used artificial intelligence to give them that identity by creating face recognition for each animal. So we can say, this is this animal, this one belongs to this animal, and this one, and so on. Once we had the digital identity, then we attach what we call a digital wallet to the identity, which is like a Momo money account. It is something where you hold money. And then, of course, if you have an identity and then you have a wallet, what is it for? What is the point of it? So we developed, using our artificial intelligence, we developed a system which identifies simple interests of the animals, which can be paid out in mobile money transactions. For example, for the mountain gorillas, sometimes people are coming into the forest, they are laying down snares, poachers. They are not looking for the gorillas, they are looking for small animals. But sometimes the gorilla is a very curious animal. She puts her hand into a snare and it's very damaging for the animal, you know. And so in our system, the gorilla is paying the ranger to remove the snare. And there are other simple interests which we observed, which could be actioned by a payment. What we have seen so far, we are right at the beginning of something completely new. With our experiment with mountain gorillas, we saw that the AI system, even though it's very simple, is already almost at a human level of intelligence. So what that suggests to me is that as we go forward over the next decade, that AI systems will be better than humans have been at determining the interests of other species. And in the Rwandan context, if we think about rural areas of Rwanda, poorer districts of the country, with a village and all of the unprotected species around the village, can be small animals, can be bats, can be birds, can be even trees. We think that the AI system will really help the village and people in the village to take better care of the other species around them and importantly, to earn money by doing that. We think of the gorillas as the ambassador species. The gorilla does not need interspecies money. The gorilla is very well protected by the Rwandan state and by scientists and by the local communities. So the gorilla is just helping us to develop the technology and is showing us the way forward. What we are more interested in is these species in the rural areas. For example, I give you just one example, is a fruit bat. Of course, when in Rwanda, if somebody says fruit bat, then they think Marburg, you know. But this is an Egyptian fruit bat which lives in caves. But in Rwanda, we also have a straw-colored fruit bat, which is a larger animal, and that lives in trees. Even here in Kigali, you can see 3 or 4 colonies of this bat, you know. What is interesting about this animal is that most of the old trees in Rwanda, and in fact the whole Congo rainforest, are seeded in part by this species. And the numbers of this species are collapsing, you know. So this is a very good example of a species which is not very attractive to humans. In fact, humans might be stressed by it because they think maybe I will get some disease, maybe it's noisy, maybe it's smelly, but it is an essential species for the health of the country, for agricultural areas, and for the survival of many other small species. And we think there are dozens of other species like that in Rwanda, which are providing to the country very essential services. Can be distribution of seeds, can be pollination, can be improving the soil, other services that are necessary. And at the moment, our economy is not valuing those services at all. So under our system, we want to recognize the value that those species are providing and build a technological solution which allows them to improve the quality of their life, improve the numbers of species. And if we imagine what is the long-term vision, if we took a kind of 2050 vision for Rwanda, what we want to see is, okay, economy is growing up, okay, education is improving, but if a country gets richer, what about other species? Will we get to 2050 in Rwanda and we will have, you know, butterflies and moths and old growth trees and more animals? I think that is possible to grow them together, you know. We are talking about a public good beyond any public good that has been imagined, you know. So the Wananchi have to be part of it. They have to be the main beneficiaries. And the governance system has to be very open, very transparent, with a proper science, proper ethical oversight. But in the end, the money flow will have to come from the financial markets. It is not realistic for a country like Rwanda to wait for some Western government to be giving the money. I don't believe that money is coming for carbon credits. I don't think it will even come for biodiversity. So we have to build a system where the financial markets, whether it's from investment or pensions or insurance or other instruments, which really value having complex life survive on planet Earth. That's broadly what we believe, that in the next decades there will be a lot of stress on these other species. And here for Rwanda, there's basically 2 goals that we want to achieve. One, Rwanda as a place to experiment, to do something that's never been done before. I was involved 10 years ago in the introduction of drone delivery and zipline into Rwanda. And so I know that Rwanda is an amazing place to experiment and to think through new ideas. But there has to be economic value which is generated as well. So we have those money flows, and the money flows really need to end up in the village. That's my belief, right? Unless it's those communities which are benefiting, they will not be able or incentivized to see other species and to protect them. I think over a 20-year period, what you would like to see is, particularly here in the tropics, in the central part of the planet, which has the most biodiversity. We are now, as a planet, as a system, we are asking the poorest communities on the planet to protect the most endangered species on the planet and to receive no value from doing that. So what we'd like to see with interspecies money is a system whereby species themselves hold the money and then they pass that money on to communities for some simple service. It can be, please take a video of me, please take a sound recording of me, please provide some simple action. And I think the real vision is, if you have millions of actions which are positive towards nature, which are happening every day, they can be very humble actions. It can be a mother in a small village, she has an Android phone, she takes a picture. She receives 2,000 Rwandan francs for that picture, And you say, what's the point of that? But if that is happening again and again and again, then you develop a high knowledge, high system, so that in Rwanda in 20 years' time, the government will actually know what is happening to life in the country, and not just life of human beings, but life of other species. What is happening to insect life? What's happening to bird life? And naturally, when the government and the people know and care about these other species, you develop a different understanding of what is important. And what I personally would love to see, if I'm lucky enough to be around in 20 years' time, is get off the plane in Kigali, drive in any direction in the country, come to a village, and you ask the people, the Umze in the village, and they say, yes, things are much richer, the soil is richer, the trees are richer, the insects are more. Even though there is climate change, even though there are other stresses, we are growing, and that is the vision. And I think it's very much possible and realistic. But of course we are using new technology, so there will be a period of experimentation, and this is where Rwanda is a great partner in this period of just saying, okay, let's experiment here, we'll experiment on this, and this, and this, and then we build this incredible new thing. Many years ago, I knew His Excellency from my previous work, and when I developed this idea of drone delivery of blood and medicines, I remember I went to the president and I said, I have this crazy idea that we can fly blood and medicine. And he's like, are you crazy? No, this is not. But then we talked about it and I explained the economic rationale. And Rwanda is just, it has the appetite for it. There is a level of governance here which allows things to happen, a project to develop over time. Also, I would say Rwanda is still, unfortunately, in the rural areas, quite a poor country. So it's still representative of a life that people are leading in Congo-Brazzaville or in northern Côte d'Ivoire or in poorer parts of India. So we can be realistic in Rwanda, right? You don't want to be building a future technology which is not applicable to the situation in which most people are living, you know. So I think it's this combination of quite a technophile approach at the top with the ability to test in rural areas. And if you were to simplify again what is interspecies money, okay, it is an addressing system. It is extending mobile money across the species divide. But beyond that, it's trying to answer a very simple question. The question is something like this: is it possible to be not a human being, to be a tree, to be an animal, to be a bat or a bird, and to hold and spend money? Or is money only for humans, and humans alone? No other species on the planet can participate in our economy. None of them can make a choice. None of them can say, hey, I exist. I would like this. You know, if we go now into the cafe and you want to buy a cup of coffee and you want also a piece of cake, then you need some money, you know, you express your interest, you know. But we have built a system on the planet where only humans can do that. And of course we are not saying that all of these species will participate in the same way that humans participate. But what I do believe, as an Africanist, is that especially here in Africa, the next couple of decades are going to be very, very tough. It's going to be very hard because we are going to struggle to provide jobs for young people. We're going to struggle to deal with the consequences of climate change. We're going to struggle with girls' rights and women's rights. We're going to struggle with survival of other species, you know. So we have to be very pragmatic and realistic, you know. And that is why I think here in Rwanda we can make a start. We can establish certain principles. We can establish certain parts of the technology. Again, it's possible to go into Kenya. It's possible to go to India. It's possible to go to Brazil. But the nice thing for Rwanda is Rwanda will be the first mover and will have the first advantage. I would say we've already started because we had now 1 year working with the mountain gorillas. So now we have made the first payments. We have shown this question of identity, money, interests through artificial intelligence, and the ability. Now it's possible for one of our gorillas to send a payment to a human being, you know, and this has never happened in history before, you know. So that I think is a good starting point. Of course we need to be humble and say this is just the beginning, you know, and we don't know for sure. There may be other challenges in this idea which make it difficult, but we are very excited and very positive to move to the next step. It gets back to the question of governance. So you need to have very strong governance. So if I say to you, please take a video of this tree, you know, and then you upload the video and then you receive 10,000 francs for that video, you know? You need to be able to show and to prove that it was you who took the video of that real tree at that time. It was not a fake video. It was not, you know, incorrect. So there has to be trust in the system. So what it means is if you're going to have this very large flow of data, which is divided up into these very, very small tasks, these very small opportunities, kind of like a Boda driver with an Uber app, you know. You say, did you really go there? Yes, I went there. How do you show that you went there, you know? That's really the essence, that every task which is asked for is able to be verified. And you need that accuracy. But then I think there has to be a common ownership and a common feeling, you know. I think this is also very important. And it won't be some middle-aged white guy like me who is leading that. It has to come from next generation, and preferably from young Africans themselves, young Indians, and they are buying into the idea, believing in it, building it. The economics is very important, but also the emotional side is important too. You start seeing this other species, thinking about it. What is it doing? How is it doing? Is it okay? What is it doing for me? All of those questions, they come up, but they will come up organically. But I would say that unless you have the accuracy and then you have this sort of emotional side, it's not going to work. So we need to be thinking about all of those elements. I think what is important right now is to understand that everything is still in play. Artificial intelligence is just starting. The worst effects of climate change are just starting. The development of the Rwandan economy is just starting. Can we think about all of those things together and create an opportunity which is quite significant? If these things are misaligned, if artificial intelligence doesn't take any interest in nature, if artificial intelligence doesn't take any interest in poorer communities, that's a problem. If Rwandan economy is only concerned with factories and shopping malls, that's a problem, right? And then for the opportunities for young people, especially in the rural areas or small towns, if you have 60-70% unemployment, especially for young men, they get annoyed, they get unhappy, and if you don't put opportunities out there for them, then that creates political risk and security risk. So somehow all of this is connected. So I think my final point is now is the time to be a little bit brave, a little bit futuristic, and to say, actually, you know what? Let's try this, let's think, let's do something different, and let's show the world. And what I know is, because we have the support of the government of Rwanda, and then I go to Switzerland or to France, and people are like, wow, this is a poor country in Africa is investing in this idea, and we, who are very rich, don't have the courage to do it. So I think that creates a kind of power of leadership and an example as well.